I'd like to call to order Springboro Community Schools Board of Education meeting for July 14, 2016. Roll call, please.
Anderson.
Here.
Babb. Here. Belanger.
Here.
Lunt.
Here.
Stuckey.
Here. Pledge.
Yep, it's back in the corner back there, so.
Pledge
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I want to thank everybody for coming out. There must be something special going on tonight, but I don't know what it is, but we'll find out here. All right, adoption of the agenda, 1.2. Have a motion? So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Anderson.
Yes.
Babb. Yes. Belanger.
Yes.
Lunt.
Yes.
Stuckey.
Yes. 1.3, approval of June 22nd, 2016 spatial meeting minutes. Do you have a motion?
We'll have to go through them all.
I'll go through them all, okay. And then 1.4, approval of June 23rd, 2016 meeting minutes. 1.5, approval of June 24, 2016 spatial meeting minutes. 1.6, approval of July 11, 2016 spatial meeting minutes. Do I have a motion to accept items 1.3 through 1.6?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Roll call.
Anderson.
Yes.
Babb.
Yes.
Belanger.
Yes.
Lunt.
Yes.
Stuckey.
Yes. Public participation, introduction of guests. Springboro Education Association.
There you
Okay. Springboro Classified. I don't believe we had any prearranged. Is there any public participation on any agenda item? Yes.
Stephanie Bendeman, 35 Fry Court. I just want to congratulate you guys and tell you that I really appreciate letting the public have such input into hiring our superintendent. I was very surprised, pleasantly surprised. We had the survey, if you couldn't make a meeting, and you definitely made it an open thing for everybody, and I think that's positive for all of us.
Thank you. We definitely took a look and looked through every one of them to see what the community and the staff wrote down and how they felt. So we thought it went very well.
I think to add to that, I think it was very, it correlated very well with our selection as well. And so we felt good about the fact that who we thought was the right person was also the right person as far as what the community thought. So that was exciting to see.
And that was the community and the staff. Everything was aligned, which tells us we've got the right person.
Any other comments? Questions? All right. Move on to 3.1. Approval to carry over any unused vacation days for Todd Petrie. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Okay. Second? I'll second. You'll second? Roll call?
Anderson.
Yes.
Babb.
Yes.
Belanger.
Yes.
Lunt.
Yes.
Stuckey.
Yes. 3.2, approval of superintendent contract for Daniel Schreier. Have a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Any comments before the vote?
I'll start off.
Yeah, go ahead.
You know, when we started this process, there was definitely doubt as to whether in such a short time we would get a quality candidate. There was doubt among us, there was doubt among people conducting the search, there was doubt in the community, and so we were ready for an interim. But we said, let's go ahead and move forward, and if we can figure this out by the middle of July and conduct the interviews, and if we can find somebody that we feel is the best fit for Springboro, then the best thing is for us to hire them and move forward with somebody that's ready to take Springboro, continue to move us forward. But there was definitely doubt there for all of us. And it's exciting to see we had 16 people turn their application in. We interviewed 10 of them. And to have somebody that we are not settling with who our candidate is. We feel like so strongly that he is absolutely the best person for Springboro. He is so in line, like the questions that we ask, as the administrators had questions and concerns and things that they wanted to make sure that we had them aligned with the direction that we're heading. And the responses that we got are completely in line with the direction that we're heading in Springboro. So it's exciting to me. There's a lot of superintendent positions that were open, and I was very concerned that we were going to just be getting the leftover candidates that were not selected at other buildings or at other districts. And that is not what we got here. We got somebody that is a perfect fit for Springboro and is ready to move us to that next level. So I'm very excited to welcome him and to see him take us forward in the direction that we're heading. So welcome. We're excited to have you here.
I don't have much more to add to that than just to echo what she said, that, you know, we found the right person and we're excited to move forward. And not only is he going to move forward with us, but he's very engaging, and I think you as a community will be excited to engage with him as well. And so it'll be a good step moving forward.
Yeah, I guess I would just build on what Darren and Lisa have said. I just want to say welcome to Dan, and you know, first start by saying thank you to everyone who was involved in the process, from Dennis, you know, helping us, and Karen DeRosa, and the community. I know that the process itself was a little compressed, maybe not the timing and the structure that we would have liked had we had more time, but I think we did the best that we could with the process given the time constraints. Now, that being said, building on what Lisa had said earlier, one of my challenges to the board was to make sure that when we step back and make this decision, that we're not simply hiring the best person available, that we are hiring the best person for Springboro. And it may not have come through this interview process, and that was my challenge, is to make sure that we're not just taking the best person available of that pool. And as we went through the process and we asked ourselves that question, you know, I'm confident in saying that we are not settling, that we are not taking the best person that was available. We have found the right fit for this district, and I'm really excited, you know, for Dan to come on board and to, like Lisa said, keep moving us forward. I'm very excited to have you. Just thank you again for everybody who helped along the way in the process of getting us to this point.
Go ahead, Charles.
I just want to thank Dennis for his efforts during the search, and Karen and her efforts, and I want to thank my other board members for the. I think it was a good process, and everybody had input, and in the community and everything that was said before. It was awesome, and I think we got lucky. And because normally I'm not so sure we were able to find somebody that's the kind of caliber of person that we would like in Springboro. So thank you.
Just echoing everybody's thanks, Dennis, and to Karen and the community. You guys also. It was challenging, and we got it done, you know, after we went through everything. And I think now we'll call for a vote.
Oh, we better thank your wife too for wanting to come to Springboro. Coming back down south, I guess.
Be with her grandkids.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, Anderson?
Yes.
Bath?
Yes.
Palage?
Yes.
Lunt?
Yes.
Stuckey?
Yes. Now, I think Dan would like to say a few things, and then a few minutes, if you guys want to come up and talk to him, that would be great.
Okay. Will I get a microphone? Speak. Are you sure? I'm a little shy. You know, first of all, thank you. Board members, Madam Treasurer, community, students, thank you. First of all, with me tonight is my daughter. This is Carrie, and our son and his wife could not be here tonight because my daughter-in-law is completing the leadership course at the University of Dayton, and tonight is her graduation celebration, but their children came, our 3 granddaughters, Marin, Lucy, and Nora. You want to wave? Okay, there you go.
There you go.
My wife and our 2 youngest sons wanted to be here, but our 2 youngest sons are in a swim meet up in northern Ohio. Both are swimmers, and they've only got a couple weeks left up there, so they're finishing up the meet. To look around the room and see so many people here shows the type of community this is. Through the interview process, seeing the number of staff that came, seeing the administrators, seeing the community come, and a lot of you that are here tonight was part of that process. This is a community who is educating students. This is your school, and I'm proud to be your superintendent. And what you've heard tonight, hopefully, is the most you ever hear about Dean Schreier, because from here it's about kids. And I know that we have an incredible staff, from the board to administration to teachers to support staff that are going to make a positive difference for kids. And I'm looking forward to getting to know you and everyone else in this community, but even more important, spending time with our students on an everyday basis. I just leave you with this, and it's something that I've told students many, many times as staff. It's not how long we live our life that counts. It's how we live our life during the time we have on this earth. It really makes a difference. Educators make more of a difference, I believe, than anyone else. I'm proud to be an educator. I'm proud to be here. Thank you, Dennis, for all your work in the process. Again, thank you, board. Thank you for the community. I can't wait to work with you. Thank you.
Invite the community to come up. Anybody for a few minutes if you want to. If not, move on. I think he had kind of introduced himself to everybody that came in, didn't you?
Now, we got little girls here. They may not stay much longer.
Yeah,
So
if you wanna-
give them. They may take off a little bit. So.
Okay, we'll go on. 3.3, any comments or questions? Any other announcements, future considerations? Okay, we'll go into our work session. For the public's interest, during this time, if there are any questions after each item, you may ask them, and we'll try to get you an answer as far as that goes. First committee report. Do we have anything there?
We haven't had any committee meetings.
John, 4.3, update on lacrosse.
Mr. President, members of the board, the lacrosse has been an interesting subject here for a long time. The state of Ohio, OHSAA has finally, they're going to finally recognize soccer as a sport.
Lacrosse.
So, sorry, lacrosse as a sport. Thank you. And so this year, for the first time, when they do tournaments, there will be a tournament for lacrosse at the state level. So in order for that to happen, the school district will need to accept lacrosse as a full varsity sport, both boys and girls. So, you know, for years we've had the folks that have run that. It's been a club sport. Basically, all the club sports within the state of Ohio are, they've pretty much gone away over the years. After this summer, there'll only be 4 other teams that are not an official representative of a school system that for the tournament purposes. So what we're going to come back to and recommend to you all for approval at the next board meeting is to recognize lacrosse varsity, boys and girls, as a sport. And the agreement that we'll have to come to will be just like what we do with ice hockey. They will be required to pay the normal pay-to-play fee, and then we will pay for the coaches for the varsity teams and the busing for lacrosse to go to all their matches. But then they would need to raise any money required for uniforms, for tournament fees, for any other fees for doing anything else, just like how we do with hockey, ice hockey. So if we didn't do that, we would be in a position where we might lose upwards of $100,000 to the athletic budget, which we can't sustain that type of loss on an annual basis. And I know that this was presented to the athletic council back in the spring, but it wasn't presented in this type of fashion, I don't believe. I was not there, but from what I understand from folks that were there, it was presented more of we would have to absorb the whole thing. We had conversations with the folks that run lacrosse in May, and then I finally had time, I just made time, this week to talk to some folks at the state level and the gentleman that used to run the club sport for lacrosse throughout the whole state. And so Matt, I got a hold of Matt, he did check the box that's required that says Lacrosse will be representing us within the state tournament for them. So that piece is already done. We just have to reach that agreement with Lacrosse and get all the legal piece there that we're gonna handle it the same way we do with ice hockey. So this way it won't be, there may be a slight hit to the athletic budget just because with approximately 100 students that are in lacrosse, I guess they have 50 boys and 50 girls for the varsity squads. You know, that based on how much busing and what the cost of coaches are, we may run in a little bit less than what we collect, but it won't be a huge amount. But they will have to process everything just like ice hockey does.
John, with that number, is there going to be JV teams?
The remaining teams, the junior high level, the JV, the peewees, the lower levels, those are all still going to run on the club sport that they've been doing for years. So we won't have any say on their coaches. You know, it's just like, you know, peewee football or any of those other types of organizations. So it's just going to be the varsity teams that are going to be coming in, just like ice hockey, because that's all you've got with ice hockey.
We'll have to determine how many assistants or.
Correct,
you know,
and we'll have to look at it with 50 students each. We'll see how they fit in between soccer and football in terms of, you know, how many students are dealing with, because that's how you determine how the coaches are paid. It's just by the sheer volume of students that they address on a daily basis.
So what if they wanted to have more coaches? Could they, as an organization, pay to have additional coaches?
It would have to be the same way we do our football and all our other normal sports teams, and they
Can be done through fundraising,
there's
possibly.
some other, there are other options, but you know, the lacrosse group itself could not pay them, because then you there's an ethics violation piece there that we would have. So we have to work very closely with them to make sure that there's no violation of that. It'll all have to be out in the open. The best way to do it is through a fundraising type of thing, because that's the way, you know, the football club does a lot of that, the fundraising themselves to hire some additional coaches and all for that.
So they can't charge parents more
No.
for coaches? They would have to do some sort of
Correct.
fundraising if they want more.
Correct,
Because
'cause
my
that's what
understanding is they have more coaches typically for lacrosse.
Right, and that, the pay-to-play fee is a big piece of that is the coach, well, what they're paying for coaches.
Now, they already use our fields for
Correct.
practice, so that's
Right.
that's a no, that doesn't matter. anymore.
Right, that's not gonna affect anything else, because they already use all the fields that they would have access to anyway.
Okay, thank you.
And this is important because, you know, being a member of the Ohio High School Athletic Association, now they can get awards and stuff like that, like the other teams do and
And it's
stuff.
their PE waiver.
Correct.
Now the
Right,
PE
and
waiver.
it'll
Right,
be a
exactly,
PE
and that's,
waiver.
right,
Yeah.
and that'll solve a lot of those
That was
other
a-
heartaches that we've had.
That was a heartache.
With lacrosse in the past,
Yeah.
too, yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions or
I
comments?
just didn't quite understand that, sorry, the 100K impact that you were saying that we were avoiding.
About the
avoiding
100,000,
that?
the cost for that, and this is from Lacrosse's books themselves.
Right.
It costs approximately $100,000 a year to run their program.
As
The
is
way-
today?
The way they have it.
The varsity part of the program or the whole thing?
No, the whole thing.
Okay.
So for us to take everything over, we couldn't do that. It would just be a huge hit to our
Yeah.
budget. And the biggest cost is the varsity side. The peewees, you know, they're smaller, but it would be, you know, a minimum of $50,000 to just take the varsity on itself. And there's just no way we can absorb that kind of hit on an annual basis. I mean, the athletic budget's, you know, $1.2 million. And, you know, we try as much as we can not to.
I'm just not understanding the scenario where we would take that on versus we're doing the they're gonna come in, we're gonna recognize them, they're gonna do the pay-to-play fee. What would be the scenario where we would be incurring that cost? I'm
Well,
sorry.
only if we took them on without leaving them the way ice hockey is. Because that's, ice
Equipment
hockey
and stuff
does the
like
pay
that.
to play, and they do, you know, we pay their coaches and do their busing and pay for their busing. But all their uniforms, all the
All
ice
that
time,
stuff.
all
That's
the
the-
other travel, all the costs for tournaments and stuff,
Gotcha.
they have to fundraise or pay for, and it's upward of $3,000 or $4,000, I think, per, it's $2,000 minimum per athlete for ice hockey.
Gotcha.
Minimum, and then they have to fundraise another.
That's what I was missing.
$700 or $800 to do everything that they do.
Yep.
And that's basically, and lacrosse has been doing this for years because it's been a club sport. So the only thing that they'll be restricted on is their coaches will be restricted on the pay because they have to fit within our framework of the contract, because that's where our supplemental contracts come from for this.
Okay.
But we just have to make it work within that.
Got it.
How much do we think, you said it's not gonna have much of an impact on the budget, do you have an estimation?
Just a quick, off the top of our head, we figure we're probably gonna, based on, you know, a head coach, a couple or three assistant coaches for boys and girls, figuring somewhere in the neighborhood of having about $3,000 a year then for transportation costs, $4,000. So we might be $3,000 or $4,000 that we might have to take out of the athletic fund to supplement that.
Outside
That's
of your
what-
PTP?
Correct, right.
Okay, so nothing significant?
Correct.
Okay.
Small.
That's just, you know, quick and dirty, based on 100 students.
I think it's great, because I think
I do too.
so do, I mean, I have friends in other states and their kids are getting scholarships in college.
Right.
and We don't have. it.
And our lacrosse kids have been doing great
Yeah.
for several years, so.
Well, it sounds like we have some that are ready for scholarships, that we needed this for some that are really waiting for those scholarships, but they couldn't without this being recognized, so I agree with you.
Good.
Okay. Any other business as required? Okay. 5.1, approval of the June 2016 financial statement.
Yes, I'll give a brief summary of them. In our last board meeting, it was close to the end of June already, so I kind of had pretty close to final numbers at that point. But obviously, we're closed now. So we closed the end of the fiscal year with a total of all funds. That includes the athletic funds, food service, student activities, bond retirement. Our total cash position was $15,123,000 and some change when we closed the fiscal year. Of that, we had $8,140,000, of course, I'm not going to be able to find it here. $8,145,000 of that represented the general fund. So how that kind of broke down was on our 5-year forecast for May, anticipated the revenue for the fiscal year as $47,659,000. The actual revenue came in at $47,664. So it was $5,294 different than what I anticipated. So we were right on in revenue, which is excellent. Now, as far as expenditures, on our 5-year, we had anticipated spending $48,269,815. At fiscal year end close, we closed at $47,886,807. So that was $383,000 under budget. Of that under budget amount, we have about $120,000 that still needs to be paid. Big portion of it's for Jonathan Wright because everything hasn't came in yet to close out those purchase orders. So actually, at the end of the day, we're still $270,000 under budget, which is excellent. So that carried over into the new fiscal year. So when we have October's, you'll see a slightly higher beginning balance. So instead of having the $7,757,000 that we were anticipating having as our end of the year balance, we'll have the $8,145,000, and then you'll see an additional expenditure for that $120,000 coming off of that. So $270,000 under budget. So I was pretty excited. That's how we closed the fiscal year. So, good.
Superintendent's report.
We gotta vote on it.
Oh, do we have to approve it?
Unless you don't want to.
Do I have a motion to accept the, second?
Second?
Roll call.
Anderson?
Yes.
Bag?
Yes.
Palage?
Yes.
Lunt?
Yes.
Stuckey?
Yes. I was too excited to move on to the next
That's
business
right.
folks that are coming up. Superintendent's report.
Well,
Go ahead.
I get to do that too.
You- okay.
I meant for you tonight, sorry.
All right.
You get a lot of John tonight. So, Mr. Chair, Mr. President, members of the board, for your approval, a recommendation of approval of a contract for our new athletic director, Austin Rhodes, who is sitting in the back. He comes to us from Sycamore, so I can't wait. 6.2, approval of an administrative contract for Amy Burns as the Clear Creek Early Learning Center principal, and she's back with us. She comes to us from Milton's Donuts, and prior to that, several places. And of course, I knew as soon as we'd start doing this, they would feed back, so there we go.
Milton's is the best.
That's right. So, and then 6.3, approval of the Warren County Educational Service Center, a summary of services for fiscal year 2017.
Are there any questions?
Yeah, I just had a question with not either of their contracts. Welcome both of you guys. I'm very excited to have you. My question is with the Warren County ESC. You had, Lee had explained a little bit of this earlier, but can you just give us a big picture understanding again of the unit that we're going to be bringing in to Dennis, and so we have an understanding of what some of these expenses are?
Well, the school districts have several contracts with the Educational Resource Center. And those are being able to bring in services that we typically can't do ourselves, or it's too expensive for us to do, or too specialized, or we don't want to have to enter in a contract and then the person that we brought them on board for leaves or whatever, and then we have to worry about other things. So we have done a lot here in this district, not just going with one single ESC. We actually work with Warren County, Montgomery County, Butler County, and Hamilton County ESC, so we receive services from all of those. In particular with Warren County, one of the things that Lee has been working on, and Kim Northgard, to bring on board is a social communications classroom. We'll have one at the high school, and we'll have one at Dennis Elementary. And these are the folks that are a lot more intense in terms of their needs. So it really runs the gamut of what their needs are. So the ESC needed a place to do this. We had the room to be able to do it. We have some students that will benefit from this very closely. So that's what this is to do. This is to bring in some of those kids that we've got out at some outlying groups. One of the biggest ones that comes to mind for me is Trumpet, which is a group up in Fairborn. And so we take a bus up there with 2 students, a full-size bus, because I don't have anything smaller right now. We take a bus up there, we drop 2 students off, comes back, and then the evening, the afternoon, they go up and pick them up. So the transportation alone is expensive for that. And Trumpet is not an inexpensive place to service our children. It's the least restrictive environment for those 2 students. And so whether those will come back as part of this or not is another question, but that's an example of what we've got. That's what a lot of this is. Some of these may not be the least expensive for us. We might have been able to do this cheaper in-house, but because we can't find the folks or it's a short-term thing, it's better to contract with them. So we don't have an alternative school here, so we buy seats for those students that would be placed in there. That's typically a 7-12 type of setting, but I've seen it go down even to 6th or 5th grade, depending on students. So that's basically what these services are from the ESC.
But for like the students that are being sent to Trumpet right now, bringing them back in, we're still having the same highly qualified.
Correct.
Who we're contracting with. They're still going to be getting the same highly qualified. We're just giving them the option of coming back to your home district, and then we'll be bringing some other, if Middletown has some students, it would be a closer option for them, but the family still has an option to go to Trumpet if that's what they choose. Am I correct
And
with
so, and the ESC is footing the majority of the bill for this, or they're footing the whole bill for this. So, for them to bring them back, for us to bring some of these students, if we want to develop a center like this ourselves, you're looking at $500,000 or so just to get the program started. And the folks that are involved in that are not inexpensive. They're
Right.
very high on the pay scales of the students that have to be there. So it's a lot cheaper for us. And then, you know, because we're housing it, they will give us a break on the cost to school the students there.
Well, I think it's best for kids too.
Correct.
If I had a student like that with those needs, I would want them in Springboro because of the time that you're traveling up there, and I want them, you know, in a home district. So I think we're doing what's best for kids, and it financially is going to be better for our district. So I think this is a great thing. Thank you for the explanation.
Do we get any additional revenue if other schools send people here, or is that just kind of our deal with this?
It's really our deal with them. We give them the space to do it, and then we get first shot at getting our students in, and it's a significantly reduced cost. I mean, there's a small charge they charge for us. It's not free, but it's a small charge that they charge us.
But it says we have a minimum of, we at Springboro have to provide a minimum of 6 students, is that?
What, that's for the alternative school at the top?
No, in the social.
Oh, yeah, Springboro will be responsible for paying for a minimum of 6 students.
Do we feel like we'll have any issues, because it looks like that extends for like the 5 years. It's
Correct.
for
It's
5 years.
Right. I don't,
I just don't, do we have a sense of whether we'll be able to meet that minimum? I mean, I obviously don't want us to be paying for seats.
and
that-
unfortunately, I don't know that, I don't know the particulars on the students. I know that they're working very diligently with the folks that are out there placed out to bring them in. But I don't know that, I can't tell you if we've got all 6 or not in there. It's just like the alternative school, those 6 seats, that's something we pay for, even if we don't use it.
Right.
But if we don't pay for it and we need it, there's a high likelihood we would not be able to get in. So, you know, it's an offset that we use.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve items 6.1 through 6.3?
So moved.
Second?
Who's second?
Their second?
There.
Darren? Roll call.
Anderson?
Yes.
Bath?
Yes.
Valente?
Yes.
Lunt?
Yes.
Stuckey?
Yes. Before we go on, Austin, would you like to say a few words or anything?
Sure.
I'm going to make you use the microphone
All
too.
right, great. Thank you. Obviously, a very exciting night, so I'm happy to be here to welcome our new superintendent. I'm very excited. I think it was said, I came from Sycamore in a great community, and I'm really excited to be here. I see a lot of similarities. When I came into the interview process, it was just overwhelming to see all the support of the community. And I really, I've really started to get to know people here. I've tried to get in here and just meet people, and I'm just really excited to work with the students, the staff, and the community. And there's a lot of big things that are happening here now, and I'm excited to be a big part of it. So thank you to everybody involved. I'm really excited to meet more of you and start working forward. So thank you.
Amy?
I want to also echo what Austin said. And, you know, I stepped out of education for 2 years, and we are the owners of Milton's Donuts. And it had to be the right job before I would even think about coming back in. And when this opening occurred, this is what I knew was the right fit for me. So, and I want to thank the Board of Education and Mr. Schrader. The interview process just really, for myself, I knew it was right. And I really, really valued that process. So once again, I'm so excited to be a part of this community, this school district, and I can't wait to work with the parents, the community, and staff. Thank you so much.
Executive Director of District Operations Report, I guess, John?
That would be me too. That's right. Mr. President, members of the board, for your consideration, 7.1 is approval of a consultant contract for an OT, an occupational therapist. 7.2, approval of a consult contract for a physical therapist, a PT. Pretty sure that's correct, unless I made a mistake. And 7.3 is approval of an HR consultant contract. That is Marcy in our district office. The previous two individuals, they have been with us for a long time. So we're renewing their ability to come here, and having a contract allows us some flexibility with that on an annual basis. 7.4 is approval of an additional certified position, a high school counselor position. And then 7.5 is approval of all of our personnel items for the month. And on that personnel report, we have some, of course, Jen Johnson's resignation, as well as several hires. It's been a busy few weeks trying to get everyone in before the July 10th deadline so that we could get some folks hired. Thursday night late, I was there with Tracy Griffin, making sure we had a good third grade teacher there at 5 Points, and we stole her from I think Dayton Public, so it was good to get her in there. We've got some bus drivers, custodians that are coming, going, a lot of supplemental contracts, and then a few folks that are applying for we've got some changes for the extended school year folks that we approved earlier that we needed some changes to. And then 3 folks that went out on disability retirement last year. So we didn't get those approved before this year's retirement, but we'll invite them back here next year for when we have our big retirement shindig.
Any questions?
So just to clarify, 7.1 through 7.3 they're not incremental
No.
to anything we've
No,
sort of
that's-
spent in the past or soon.
Correct, and that's been the same cost per hour for several years.
Can I make a comment about the additional counselor? Is now the time? Okay. We are adding a counselor at the high school, and for those of us that have students at the high school, that's always, the counselors have a big job. And for those of us that have students at the high school, we have a ton of questions just because there's uncertainty of what do we do to help prepare our kids for college, for the workforce, for the military, whatever direction you're taking, there's questions. And especially if it's your first time through it, there's a lot of unknowns. And so that's why the discussion among the board was, is this possibly a position that we could add a position here and help out our parents and add some staff at the counselor office, because they're already pretty full there with the responsibilities that are given to them. But this is something that we have heard from parents in every single, if you've been to meetings at the high school with parents, you will hear that this is an area that we need some additional help. So there was a lot of discussion that went around this, and that is what our hope is that we're going to be able to provide some extra support for those different areas that we're feeling that we could increase information on. So that's the reason behind that one. That's it. Thanks.
And the individual that we're hiring back, everybody should know about. Tammy Zimmer is coming back after a 1-year hiatus in Centerville.
Okay. You need a motion. Motion. Second.
Second.
Okay. Roll call.
Anderson?
Yes.
Bath?
Yes.
Palage?
Yes.
Lunt?
Yes.
Stuckey?
Yes. 8.1, executive session, to consider the appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, or compensation of a public employee or official, matters required to be kept confidential by federal law or regulations or state statutes. Is there a motion to move into executive session? Second?
Second.
Roll call.
Nugent, second.
I second.
Anderson? Bath?
Yes.
Palage?
Yes.
Lunt?
Yes.
Stuckey?
Yes. There will be no action when we come out, so